I woke up, it was 7. I waited till 11 to figure out that no one would call.
Alright, here it is. Episode 1, Broken Boney, hosted and edited by AJ Metzen. I'm super fucking excited to be here. It's been a long time coming. I've done a couple test runs trying to make sure everything goes as smooth as possible, but bear with me here. We're moving along. We're going to figure it out as time goes on. Episodes are going to be every Thursday, weekly. Bearing any changes, that'll be known or documented, I guess you could say. I mean, where the fuck did this all start? Probably 4 weeks ago, at a bar with a friend, my roommate. We're shooting the shit, having a couple drinks. She's like, you know what, you should do a podcast. And I've been told before, like, on and off for months, like, oh, I'll do a podcast, that'd be funny. I'm like, why the hell would anyone give a shit what I think? I don't know. But I love to talk, and I love to give my opinion, so I'm like, you know what, let's do it. So that night, I come home, I'm a couple drinks deep, call my marketing team, my now marketing team, one of my best friends, Leah. I was like, listen, I need help with a name. She's very creative. I had some ideas floating around. She nails it, Broken Boney. I'm like, that's perfect. We're using that. And when I say marketing team, there's no monetary value. She gets paid in my friendship, mediocre guy advice, and I accidentally cover her tab when we go to the bar because everyone thinks we're dating. So after that, she was very supportive. She was on board with it. She's like, that's funny. I would listen. I'm like, all right, let's move to the next stage. I'm like, I need a logo. So I put on my Instagram poll, story, whatever you want to call it. I'm like, any graphic designers that could help me make a logo. And one of my good buddies' girlfriends hits me up and she's like, yeah, like this is what I do. I'm like, oh my God, perfect. Okay. So she's like, what do you want? And I have no artistic ability. Like, I'm artistically challenged 100%. I am not afraid to admit that. I gave her some rough ideas, but I was like, do you, all the freedom in the world, have fun. She comes back with the rough draft, and I'm like, holy shit, this is insane. Can I use this? And she's like, no, it's not done. I got to fine, tune, tweak, whatever people in that business do. I was like, you know what, do you? That's fine. Let me know when you're done. No rush. So she hits me back with the final copy a couple weeks later, and I was like fucking blown away. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I would have never came up with anything in my wild imagination. So now we got the name, we got the logo. I'm like, shit, the ball's rolling here. The gears are in motion. So I put on my Instagram story, I'm like, hey, would anyone care to listen to me if I sat in front of a mic and talked for 20 or 30 minutes? And I got like an overwhelming amount of support. And I knew my close friends would be supportive and they'd help me out. And they'd be like, yeah, totally. But like people I haven't talked to in years or never really spoke to that just follow me were like, that'd be funny. I would listen, you know. I'm like, you know what? That's it. So probably 2 days later, so I have all this overwhelming support. I got a logo, I got a name. I'm just kind of, you know, sitting around, and I go on Twitter. And Barstool Sports, everyone should know Barstool Sports. They put on their Twitter, like, call into our radio, we'll guess your height and weight. And I'm like, well, I'm a pretty unique build, as you'll hear in the clip when I play it in a second. No way they guess it. So probably I waited for about 5 minutes, and it was a shot in the dark, and I say that in the clip. I'm like, I didn't think I was getting on. They're like, no, here you are. And I was a little bit nervous, but I really felt like I held my own. I mean, I called my claim to fame. I put it on my Twitter, and people were dying laughing. I'm like, shit, maybe I actually can do this. It was like the final boost I needed. It was a final kick in the ass. I was like, okay, I can do this. Let's sit down. Let's get this shit done. So I'll play that clip right now, quickly, just in case you haven't heard it. It's on my Twitter. But overall, I had an absolute fucking blast, and I think it's hilarious, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So here we go.
So let's go out to AJ in Toronto. What's up, AJ?
Oh my God, how's it going?
It's going well.
I am in shock. I've been a huge fan. I watch Dual Scenes and I listen to all the podcasts, but I just got a free Sirius XM subscription, so I could finally start listening to Barstool Radio.
Oh, hell yeah.
Sweet.
Well, welcome. Hope it's going well so far.
It is. It was very quick. I was surprised. I didn't think I would get on. I thought this was a shot in the dark.
No, absolutely.
No, there you are, pal.
Yeah, what's on your mind?
Nothing. I saw the Twitter thing, and I saw the guess your weight, and, you know, I have a certain type of build, and I thought it'd be funny if you guys would ever guess.
Ooh, now
Oh, no, I knew right away. I not only know your weight, I know your height, too.
I was going to say, okay, I'm curious, because that's the one thing I got going for me.
Oh, okay, that's
so
a clue.
I'm going to say you are 6'4", I would say 6'4" and a half, and you are 340.
I'll answer you. I'm going to say you are 6'5",
right in the middle. The weight, those were two of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me. I'm 6'6", 165, soaking wet, I think.
Jesus.
6'6", 165.
I'm built like those things outside the car dealership that got caught in the wind. You know, they blow
Wacky
around.
Yeah.
wavy. You're wacky wavy inflatable man.
That's my
But
my
I
build,
bet-
I guess you could say.
What was your name again?
AJ.
AJ. I bet you have a long, slender penis, AJ.
Chaps! Just say that.
I'm a humble
Why?
guy. I'll let the ladies find out if it ever comes to that.
Yeah. There, listen to his
Okay.
voice. Listen to how deep his voice is. He's got
Yeah, that thing
big
is
hammer on
slender
it.
as the day
No,
is
it's not
long.
slender. He's got a thick penis voice, and not that we would ever come.
I used to get mistaken as a female when I worked at the drive-thru at McDonald's. They'd say, "Thank you, ma'am," and all that. So it's kind of nice that...
Oh, you got a very...
caught up with me.
No, you got a husky voice. You got a nice
Yeah,
drawl
absolutely.
there. I like it.
This
Yeah.
is a good topic in the middle of quarantine.
Oh yeah. Oh,
There you
we're
go.
gassing
AJ.
you
You're
up. We're
doing
gassing you
fantastic.
up. Are you
Thank you
athletic?
Yeah, I play basketball at college.
Oh, well then look at this guy. Oh, forget
I mean,
it.
I'm
You're
6'6". People ask me, and I think it would be a waste at this point if I didn't. So it was kind of
True.
built into me.
You know what you need to do
True.
is find a lady in one of those big apartments. There's the lofts. You need to find a lady in a loft apartment with really high cabinets. So you're like, I got it. You grab her
Well,
cereals
that's the
down.
nice part about the grocery store is all the old ladies just look at me and then they're like, "Oh, my grandson's just as tall," and then I tell them my height and they go, "You're not that tall," and I'm basically just their human grabber. Anytime they need anything, they just call me from down the aisle.
There you go. I love
Probably getting you up there to reach up so they can get a look at that penis.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I wouldn't blame them.
this. AJ from Toronto, absolute hog on him. Ladies, if you're in the area, check him out. He's the top
Yeah,
fella.
seek him out.
There you go.
Yeah, they can
Gassing
find
him
me.
up.
I'm sure they won't miss me. Like I told them, I'm built like the lady thing, the wacky thing outside the car dealership, so it's not hard to find me.
That's if you look, they're everywhere.
Swiping
They're very
left
in
and
right
right with both hands.
Inflatable arm flailing tube, man. Wacky waving inflatable.
now. Oh yeah. Thank you very much for the call.
it. Thank you guys
yeah.
for taking it.
Crushing it.
So that was my claim to fame, like I said. Believe it or not, I sent that clip to my mom, and she then played it for my whole family. I did not expect it to take that turn, but I think it ultimately made it funnier. I was in disbelief a little bit. I was in shock when they said it, but I laughed. I mean, it was funny. I mean, that was like I said, it was the kickstart of this whole thing because I probably listened to it, I want to say 110 times. I was in love with it. People laughed. I was like, it was a blast, and it was honestly a nice little boost. Oh, sorry, I thought the audio cut out there. It was a nice little boost during all this, so I was like, you know what? It's time to do it. I mean, I was thinking of topics to start this thing off on, and I mean, where else can you start other than what the fuck just happened over the last 5 months? I mean, quarantine life, coronavirus life, we are all in quite the predicament. I've never experienced anything like this, and I hope I never do again. Looking back now, like, I'm still speechless. Like, I've been trying to, like, what happened, and I'm like, I don't really know. I mean, there's days that I will remember for as long as I live. March 17th, the day the NBA shut down, was when I felt like this whole thing just collapsed. I mean, I'm a diehard sports fan. I live, eat, breathe sports. Playing video games after school one day. Probably should have been doing homework, but sorry, Mom. And I get a notification Rudy Gobert is tested positive for the coronavirus. And next thing you know, the NBA, the NHL, March Madness, everything shut down. I mean, that's when I felt it all really started. Because I was out the week before, and we go to this bar that we typically go to, and it's usually packed, shoulder to shoulder, dance floor is packed. And we went probably 5-6 days before the NBA shut down, and there wasn't really many people there. I mean, you could get in easy, you could roam around. It was probably 25% packed from what it usually is. And I'm like, oh shit, like, this is a thing. But I still wasn't worried. I mean, I'm 22, I'm naive, nothing in the world could ever affect me is ultimately what I thought. Next thing you know, a couple normal days at school, then I get an email from my school and work, and everything shut down. I mean, I'm doing Zoom classes, the biggest bullshit money grab I've ever seen. I mean, those professors just read off the slides, which I could do myself. All they do is give you participation marks for attending class. My work shut down. They'll pay me to the end of the semester. See you later. So next thing you know, I'm told not to leave my house. I'm told by my mother to play video games and do schoolwork, which is mind-blowing because to hear my mom say, just sit inside, play video games, don't leave your house, I don't think I'll ever hear that again. And that is basically what happened for the next 5 months. I mean, I finished school, and then it was literally just, what do I do now? I mean, my roommate moved back home to New Zealand, so I was living on my own. I was enjoying it. I mean, I think most people would think, wow, you lived on your own, that's boring, you weren't allowed to go see other people. I'm like, no, I fucking loved it. I mean, I've always wanted to live alone for a period of time. I had a blast. I mean, the house was the way I wanted it. Nobody relied on me. I went to bed when I wanted. I woke up when I wanted. Nobody was mad about it. And looking back now, I'm kind of grateful, because when the hell am I ever going to get 5 months of no responsibilities? I mean, I've worked since grade 10. I've either gone to school, I've worked, played sports. Like, I've always been busy. I've always had something to do. And for the first time in my life, nothing. So it was a nice little reset. I mean, it was unfortunate because of the circumstances. That's how it had to happen. But you know what? You got to roll with the punches. So what did I do over quarantine? Well, I drank, played video games. I hosted quarantine radio, if any of you tuned in for that. It was a little bit cringy, but I think it was ultimately funny. I mean, basically, if you didn't watch, I had 60, 70 viewers tune into my Instagram Live, where I would drink with people that joined and play songs that were requested. Basically, like I had my own radio show. And I still have the live saved on my phone, and it'll probably never come up again. That is for my own viewing pleasure from this point forward. But if you were there, you could say you were there. It was funny. That honestly, that was a good little Kickstarter for the podcast too. I mean, having that many people tune in and just shoot the shit, I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was probably the highlight of the whole 5 months for me. But what can I really say? I mean, when people ask me in 20 years, like, what fucking happened in 2020, I'd be like, I couldn't honestly tell you. I mean, basically, we all got infected with a virus. The whole world shut down. You weren't allowed to leave your house. I mean, what else is to say? It's I'm speechless. And now that things are opening up, and when I say they're opening up, we're in stage 3. That doesn't mean we're all fucking back to normal, yippee go party. Like, don't be a fucking idiot. Wear your mask. Don't be the Karen I see on Instagram Live screaming at people who, you know, it's a free country, I'm not wearing a mask. Don't be that person. Nobody likes that person. I mean, I think it's going to be like this way for a while, at least the next couple of years. Like, I can't see, I think it would be stupid to lift the protocol. So, I mean, get used to it. If you don't like it, suck it up. It's the way it is. It's pretty much adapt or die, and when I say that, I mean literally. I mean, wear your mask or you're in for a treat, especially if other people are infected. But I mean, I'm speechless. Like, I was trying to like write down points, like just a rough idea of what I want to talk about at quarantine. I'm like, damn, like, I don't really know. Like, not much happened, but also a ton of shit happened. And I think quarantine was good for a lot of people. I think it wasn't good for a lot of people, but I mean, that's kind of the way it is. I'm excited though. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I see it now. I mean, come, what was it, May, June? I was like, we're never getting out of this. I'm never going to a patio again. I'm going to sit in my room and work online or go to school online for the next 4 years. Like, just some scary shit. But now that people are being a little bit more safer, the borders are locked, it's starting to open up, and go to a patio. I've been to a few patios. I'm not going to lie and sit here like I'm a perfect human. Gone to patios, but I've been responsible. I wear my mask when I go to the bathroom, the whole nine. And I mean, come September, we're all going to be online for school, majority of us. And I'm not exactly excited for it, because those Zoom classes, like I said, are fucking boring. I mean, I have an 8 a.m. one coming up, and I'm like, I know I'm just going to put that laptop beside my pillow, and it'll probably put me to sleep, because it's boring. I mean, it's not an exciting way to learn. The only time you get to go to school is if you have a lab, but I'm currently taking human resources, so I won't be going to school, not for the foreseeable future. I'm hoping by January. That's like a fairly optimistic goal. I don't know if it's going to be all that true, but we'll see when the time comes. But for now, yeah, I mean, back looking for work, trying to find a job, need to make some money. I'm living off True Daddy there. He's paying me well, but you know, I gotta get my ass rolling here. I mean, I'm getting a little bored sitting at home every day. I mean, ultimately, it's giving me a lot of time to get shit done. This last month, I mean, the first 4 months, I wasn't productive. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you. I was not productive. I'd go to bed at like 2 or 3, wake up at noon, you know, play video games, make dinner. It was nice, but now it's just old. Like, I legitimately need to do something. It's also why this podcast is good. It gives me a little hobby, get me up, get me doing shit. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm going to a patio tonight, believe it or not, right actually after I record this, so I'm excited for that. But when I say that, like it's not the same. I mean, to be honest, when I drink, I think I'm one of the greatest dancers to ever walk God's green earth. I know that's not true, but I'm excited for when I can do that again. I mean, like a regular bar night. And when I say regular, I mean like there's no precaution. Everyone's just enjoying themselves, drinking a little bit too much alcohol. That's ultimately the goal. I mean, I'm 22, right? I live in a big city. I'm originally from Sault Ste. Marie, so Toronto was a culture shock, and like the whole atmosphere here is different. I mean, there's a million different bars. So obviously being here, I came here to go to school, but also enjoy myself in a way I haven't before. I would say I had a great time before this. I mean, 3 months ago, probably had the best bar night of my life. One of the craziest stories I'll ever have, and I told people this, and I swear on my mother it's true. Me and my best friend, my old roommate Jaden, we go to a bar downtown. We had some type of banquet. I can't even remember, for school. It must have been a presentation or some shit. So we're dressed a little snazzy, suit, tie, the whole get up. And we go sit at the bar. We're watching hockey, regular season hockey. And this guy sits beside us. He's probably, I want to guess, like 30 to 35, older, stocky guy. He's like, we're just having a couple drinks and talking hockey. He's like, oh, you guys like hockey? And we're like, yeah, we live in Canada. Of course we like hockey. He goes, oh, well, you're not going to believe this, but I'm a black ace for the Leafs. I'm like, what the fuck's a black ace? I'm like, you play for the Leafs poker team? Like, I had no clue. Jaden didn't either. So he's explaining us, and ultimately he plays if someone's injured, like not a regular AHL player, but he's called up under dire circumstances. And, I mean, we had a couple drinks, so it was very believable. I mean, this guy was the most convincing human I've ever met. And my mom always said, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. He bullshitted the hell out of me, I'm going to be honest with you. But he backed it up. I mean, he told the most in-depth, detailed stories I've ever heard. I was like, there's no fucking way this isn't true. I mean, he was talking his old hockey days, AHL, NHL. I'm like, shit, like, this is impressive. So obviously we're a couple drinks in, like I said, so it's a little bit more believable. And obviously I'm not going to call this guy out because he probably would have kicked my ass. Definitely would have kicked my ass. There's no doubt about that if it ever came to that. And then probably around 1:30 rolls around, and he calls the bartender over. He goes, give me their bills. I'm paying for it. I'm like, no, man, don't worry about it. He's like, no, I got it. Not a big deal. This guy pulls out a wallet with a wad of American money, like more money than I've ever seen in front of my face ever. This guy looked like he was like a mafia kingpin. I've never seen so much cash. Pays off our tabs. He goes, where are we going? I'm like, where are we going? It's 1:30. I mean, I don't got enough money to go out past 2. I'm going home. He's like, no, we're going out after hours bar on me. Me and Jane were like, well, if you're paying, I'm not about to say no. So we think we're getting into a cab with a Leafs player, and he says, give me a after hours bar. So the cab driver takes us. $17 Canadian. He gives him 100 American. Keep the change. I'm like, fuck, this guy's a high roller. I mean, he had what looked like NHL money, so I believed him. So we get into the bar. We walk up. I order a drink. I paid for it, believe it or not. Yeah, I can hold my own. Not a big deal. And next thing you know, he goes, hey, I got a booth for us. I'm like, a booth? They literally had to, like, I don't know what he paid or what he said, but they had to kick a group of people out of the booth, and we then sat in there. He gives me his credit card. And it's not one of those, like, regular cheap credit cards. It's like one of those metal, like, fucking, I got money, I'm better than you credit cards. He's like, go get us a couple rounds. So I walk up there, couple rounds, pay it off, walk back. Look like a baller, probably. Wasn't my money. And so we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, the live band playing at this bar stops. And they're like, yeah, so we'd just like to welcome and introduce a couple Leafs players sitting in our booth tonight. I mean, show them a good time. They're here, I don't know what, I honestly couldn't remember all he said, but basically people thought we played for the Leafs. Now, I was in a suit and tie, so I looked kind of like the part, but I'm also 6'6", 160 pounds. There's no way in living hell I look like I play in the NHL. I mean, Zdeno Chara comes up the middle, I'm basically decapitated. So, but I mean, if people think that, I'm not going to fucking tell them different. So here I am sitting at a bar with this guy who has more money than I've ever seen. He's buying us drinks. He's giving Jaden cash. He's like, another round. I'm like, holy shit, all right. So we're having a great time. People are coming up and talking to us, and they're like, wow, you play for the Leafs. That's incredible. And as much as I want to say I play for the Leafs, I downplay it. I'm like, no, I'm just like some young kid in the organization. I'm working my way up. And they're like, don't fucking knock yourself. That's incredible. You'll make it one day. And I'm like, yeah, you know, you're probably right, I will. And I'm laughing to myself, but I'm also... You know, I thought I played the part pretty well. I mean, it could have been a movie script, and I would have killed it. So we're still enjoying ourselves, and it's probably like 3:34 in the morning. People are coming up, buying us drinks. All of a sudden, I look up, Buddy's gone. And he gave us his name, actually. Buddy's gone. Nowhere to be found. So me and Jaden were like, all right, time to wrap it up. We can't afford anything more. So we head home. I'm in the Uber home, and I'm like looking this guy's name up. And he was the CEO of an American company who had headquarters in Toronto. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's believable. I mean, I don't really give a shit. Played the NHL or not, he still paid for my entire night, and we had probably the most fun and probably the best story I'll ever tell. And it was hilarious. I mean, that's what I want to get back to. I mean, I don't think I will ever get to that extent of having fun where I'm getting bottles and beer paid for me on deck. I mean, but to that extent where I can go meet random people and we have a good time, and it's not just my 4 friends sitting at a table. You know, basically you're not allowed to look at another direction, otherwise you might give them the coronavirus. That's I mean, I think about that story now and I just laugh. It's hilarious, and that's the ultimate goal. I mean, get back to a stage where we can meet random people, hang out, shoot the shit, do the whole nine. The true Toronto experience, I would say. And it's kind of the direction I want to go with this podcast. I mean, I want to give my opinion, my topics on all types of stuff, but I think I have enough funny stories from what I've told, and that's why people think I should do a podcast, is because I have some outrageous stories that are not always safe for work, but they're funny. People will laugh, I believe, and enjoy them. So, I mean, I'll give my take on stuff, but I'll also relate it back to me and also to everyone listening. I mean, I'm just a regular kid doing this. So this was the first episode, a little bit shorter. I don't really want to go long. I mean, nobody wants to listen to me talk for anything more than 30 minutes max. You bear with me. We're getting through it. We're gonna work out the kinks, all that stuff. Audio, I've been putting in a lot of work, so I'm excited. Like I said, episodes are every Thursday, barring any changes. Time frame, I mean, only God knows, school's starting up, but it will be Thursdays, I can promise you that. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. Broken Boney, episode 1. We're out.